So by now I've deconstructed several dozen pallets. The first was to build this chicken coop, my first project. The next one was to build furniture for my farmer's market booth where I sell milk soap. And I'm about halfway and I need a little bit more. One more display table. And I wanted to share with you the tricks and tips that I learned along the way. So the first thing you gotta ask yourself is, do you want a softwood or hardwood? And this is a piece of pine, a 2x4, and I found that if I look at the risers, these guys, and if they are thinner than a 2x4, like this, so this is a 1.5 inch, this is probably 1.25 to 1 inch, then it's very likely the pallet planks are also hardwood. Not always, like in this one, this is hardwood, but that's pine and pine and pine, hardwood, pine, pine, pine. And one of the ways that I could see that is that this has very big veins. This is dense. Same here. I can see little speckles. It's very dense wood. And on the side too, with the pine you can often see the horizontal striping. And it's a lot harder to see with the hardwood. You can also look on the top. Pine is weaker, so it tends to be thick. Hardwood is stronger, so they can use much thinner planks. Look at that one. It's nice and nice and thin. So when you are looking, when you have the option to look for brand new pallets, things to look at is, do you want thinner or thicker? Or do you want to use them interchanged? It can be a nice effect as well. You've got the smaller boards and the wider boards, and some of them are 40 and some of them are 42, so they're not all the same width either, so keep that in mind. For deconstruction, if I can, I like to use the ones with one single middle 2x4. Like this one's got two, one here, one here. It's just more work. It can still be done, but it's easier to just have the one in the middle. And also the single or the 2x4s in the middle, they can be reused as well. And if you've got the ones that are much narrower than an actual 2x4, like this one is a pine 2x4, so it's like 1.5 inch. This is a hardwood. It's narrower, it's like 1.25, 1.125. Those are actually good building wood as well. So the horizontals can also be hardwood. And especially this one. This one has some nice structural beams that I am planning on reusing. So the next thing to look for is the blade. So of course I'm using a sawzall. But I found that it does pay attention to what blade you use. Not only if it's a wood blade or a metal blade or a wood metal blade, but also the length of the blade. So I found the short ones work well on the edges, where it's easy to get to, and then the long ones work well to cut the middle. But because they bend, so you can kind of bend them under. The thing though is, and you can see that here, that's the bend, they overheat. That's that rainbow coloring on there. And that often is because the wood puts up too much friction. So it does help to gently pry the boards in the middle up a little, make a little bit of headroom, either with a pry bar or because they're already loose left and right, just wiggle them a little bit, make some room, and then bend your blade through. What also is very useful by using two, the short ones and the long ones, is that when I do the outside, I then take this off, stick it in a bucket of cold water, change it for the long one, when I'm done with these, I stick these in a bucket of cold water and go back to these so they don't overheat as much. Pallet wood is free, these blades are not, and I do find that I go through quite a bunch of them. They are definitely throwaway blades. It's also nice to have it on a bit of a height, so you don't have to bend down to the ground to work on this. If you find this is getting too hot to rotate, then you're running your blade too hot as well. And voila! One pallet broken down. So there you go. 2 pallets, took about 15 minutes. I would suggest not to do too many at once, not good for the blades, but also it's not good for your back, it's quite heavy. And I have used a folding table as well, but that's plastic and I found it slid around even more. So if you want to go through the trouble of using clamps, that will work. But I just kind of wedge it to the pallet below or on the gravel and get it done. So there you go. Now it's up to you to rescue the beautiful hardwoods and make something new out of them that is not firewood.